Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Earrings Off. We want to invite you to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. You can find us on Facebook at Earrings Off Podcast and on Instagram at The Earrings Off Podcast.
Welcome to Earrings Off. I'm Lou.
And I'm Teresa. Let's get started.
Wow. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome, folks, to Earrings Off, our Saturday morning pop-up. Teresa, how are you doing?
I'm well this morning. How about you?
Well, I'm doing okay. I'm feeling a bit more rested after the trip to the Big Apple and all of that. So doing well.
Very good.
Yeah. I tell you, lots of energy, like the vibe. Just a great time. Got a chance to see the Michael Jackson show, so that was wonderful. So good time. So listen, today, of course, we're going to celebrate girl dads. So, of course, when we think about girl dads, we remember Kobe Bean Bryant. Because he was the girl dad extraordinaire. Kobe Bean Bryant was a shooting guard for the LA Lakers, and he won five NBA championships. Of course, he died at the age of 41 in a helicopter crash in 2020, along with his beautiful and gifted 13-year-old daughter, Gianna. Kobe was truly a girl dad. Teresa, did you ever see that clip where the sportscaster, I see her face, can't remember her name, spoke to Kobe, and she was visibly pregnant, the interviewer. I'm remembering her name. I'm seeing her face, can't pull her name, but she was talking, and Kobe saw that she was pregnant and asked her about her pregnancy, but she mentioned that, his daughters, and he said, I'm such a girl dad. Did you ever see that clip?
I did not.
It was wonderful. I'm not sure why I'm not pulling up her name, because she's the actual sportscaster is now on another show that I watch. But anyway, that was a beautiful clip when he was talking about being a girl dad. So
yeah, I didn't see it, but I can imagine. So we remember him today because he was born on the 23rd. August 23rd was his birthday. But not only that we remember Kobe because here at Earrings Off we celebrate girl dads. A girl dad is okay with painting her nails and having his nails painted by her, styling her hair, but he also plays sports with her. He takes his daughter to games and knows that those same things he does with his son, that he can enjoy them with his daughter. He doesn't place limits on her because of her gender.
And Teresa, I've said before, I think a lot of the reason we see women in sports and women excelling in all different areas is because of the influence of these dads. They have been, a big part of our identity as women, and dads who celebrate us and who, no longer ascribe to the philosophy, well, what, life ain't great if I don't have a son. And for so long, that was the posture of men, and particularly in this society. But now, men out and about with their daughters and enjoying that relationship is certainly been very beneficial to the young girls, but also to society in general, because you learn something both from your mom and dad. You get much of what you believe about yourself, what you're capable of achieving, from those relationships. So today, again, we celebrate girl dads, and not only dads, but men who have been supportive of
Oh.
young girls
Hmm.
and of women, because our tagline is earrings off, conversations to empower women and the men who celebrate them.
Right.
And we wanted to add that because we are certainly not women who hate men. We applaud men, and we recognize the importance of those relationships. So again, here today on our pop-up, we are celebrating girl dads.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Can
Yeah.
I share a personal story?
Yeah, yeah.
So I grew up with three brothers, and I'm the oldest. And I grew up with a father who was very old fashioned, very old fashioned. And I support myself as a girl dad because, we did a lot of things together, but I had to get him there. I had to point out to him that I was no different than them, that
Mhm.
I could cut grass, I could hang out with him hunting and all those things. And guess what? When he realized that I was no different from them, it was never ever ever questioned again.
Wow.
He did all the same things that he did with me, but he treated me like a girl. And these I'm doing air quotes
Yeah.
until he didn't, right? Until he recognized the fact that I'm I want to do all the same things. And it worked to my benefit too, because he was one of those guys who thought that, I should be learning how to cook and do all the things in the house. And I'm like, well, they also need to know those things. So, I think my brothers can credit me, and their wives can credit me for them knowing how to handle a pot of pan or two.
Good, good job, Teresa. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, my story was different. My dad died when I was young, quite young. So I didn't have that relationship, but I had a brother, my brother Johnny. And now that I look back on it, he wasn't much older than I was, but he stepped into that role for me, looking out for me, and certainly making me believe that I was all that in a bag of chips,
Mhm.
everything.
Mhm.
And he made me believe that I had a lot of value, that I was to be heard and seen when I entered rooms. He put that in me. And so that's critical. Again, that's
Yeah.
critical to our development.
I agree.
And it was through him that I started watching sports, reading about sports, because that's what he did. That's what my
Yeah.
brothers did. And so I picked that up. So, yeah,
Yeah.
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 Hmm.
Very good.
Yeah, so it's good stuff. So we celebrate Kobe, and we mourn his passing, and we celebrate all girl dads, but he certainly set the bar high for men in that area. But Teresa, we've got some other stuff. We've got big things coming up in a short amount of time.
I
We're gonna.
know, right?
I know, right? It's like we looked up, and last year we had our conference, and here we are yet again. Are you feeling as stressed about it like you were last year? How are you feeling?
Maybe, I'm finding some comfort in how successful last year was,
Yeah, it was
but
quite
I
successful.
don't actually have the same level of stress at this time as opposed to last year this time, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
Well, because we did it once. So
yeah,
yeah, that was
yeah.
helpful. So we're going to talk about the conference just a
Hmm.
bit later. We're going to fill all of you in on our conference, what's going to happen. But right now, we want to talk about something Teresa and I have come up with. We've worked on it, and we're going to be offering consultations, and they're going to be available by Zoom. They're going to be available online. It's going to be part of our conference offering. But if you're not physically in the area, of course, anybody can
Better.
participate and
That's
take
right.
advantage because they're going to be online. Our consultations are going to be 1 hour. And so, to sort of give you a little teaser about, we have several different consultation offerings. But one of them that we are very excited about is called Soul Food Reimagined. And we want to, Teresa, if you don't know, I don't know how you could follow us and not know, but healthy cooking, reimagining recipes, all of that. That is Teresa's jam. That's her thing. I've said it before. Sometimes I talk to Teresa and she just goes into this zone and I'm like, and she thinks this is normal what she's telling me, but she gets all excited about just healthy eating and making sure that we're feeding our body and using food as medicine. So we want to look. Teresa's going to use one of her sessions to look at how we cook and soul food recipes and offerings. So the term soul food was started in the 60s and it was part of the Black Pride movement. And so we here at Earrings Off, we fully support soul food, love it. But what we don't celebrate and encourage are the many ways that it's been prepared, which poorly impact our health and it impacts the strength of our community. We have been in this COVID, pandemic, and the numbers were startling in terms of the impact on our community. We suffered worse than any other group, I would say, based on what Teresa and I discovered in the many shows that we did on COVID. And it was as a result of our compromised system when we got COVID. And so again, we celebrate soul food, but we want to look at in this session, Teresa's going to look at how we, what we do and what kind of tweaks we can make to make the food healthier. So Teresa's going to share a little bit about that. Again, that session is called Soul Food Reimagined, and you'll be able to find more information about it through eventbrite.com. That's where our tickets to the conference are. And again, you'll hear more about that, but this is one of the additional offering.
Right. So thank you, Lou, for that. And so the first thing I'm going to say, Lou, is going to be a bit controversial for me, but soul food, the way we have always eaten it, there's nothing wrong with it. If we do that every now and then. But if it's a routine, if we routinely cook with a lot of salt, a lot of fat, bad quality cuts of meat, then that is what in the long term impacts our health. And so we know that that's what we do. If we know that that's what we do, this is for you. I don't sacrifice taste, right? I in my reimagined recipes, I don't sacrifice taste. It's just a different taste. So I'm going to share one of my favorite.
Let me ask you though. So when you say you can eat it in moderation, and that's what we're told about most things, that you can treat yourself, but you have to do everything in moderation. But what would you guess would be when you say that eating soul food, just typical dishes, what would you consider like in moderation? How many times you would be eating that a month?
Like a full fat, not a month at all. I would say maybe 2 or 3 times a year.
Oh, really? See, I asked that question for your benefit because Teresa says things that she thinks are normal. You see, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. I knew where I was going with that.
Yeah.
Really, Teresa, 2 or 3 times a year, really?
2 or 3 times a year, honestly, because it becomes a habit if we don't make it special. You make it special. So Thanksgiving, say you're a Thanksgiving meal, you're going to go all out, full fat, everything. And when I say full fat, let me pull up on that even, because I'm not one who, the least processed something is, the better. So if you're going to eat butter, for instance, if you need butter, don't do margarine. Do real butter, right? And if you're going to drink milk, I don't suggest that you do, but don't drink skim milk. Drink whole milk because they've processed it to take that fat out of it, which makes it even worse for you. So I go ahead, Lou.
And that's why I believe this session, these consultations are so important, because most of us eat this type of food more than just on special occasions. And that's why it's so important that you look at it and see what can I do to tweak this dish to
Right.
make it a bit healthier, since I know I'm going to indulge more than Teresa does 2 or 3 times a year. Go on.
So nice segue into one of my favorite reimagined recipes is collard greens,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So many people cook with meat in their collard greens because they like the smoke flavor, is what I'm told. Because that's not, I don't like that. I didn't grow up eating meat in my greens at all, but that's what people tell me they miss. So there are ways to season them with other vegetables where you don't miss it. And because I haven't really had them that way, people tell me who have had meat in them that they don't miss it when they eat my greens.
Okay.
So season it with other vegetables. So start out with, sauteing your vegetables, sauteing your onions, peppers, shallots, garlic, any of those vegetables that have like a pop to them, that add flavor. Saute them in a pan before you get started and get it all caramely in the bottom of the pan, and then add a little bit of water, and then put your greens in there and let them simmer. And I will tell you, you will not miss the flavor of that meat. It is so good, and you don't miss it. And that's the other thing that I encourage too, is that we learn to love the flavor of the food that we eat, not alter it with another thing that's not good for us.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that when it comes to soul food, where we get into trouble is with sodium, because salt makes everything taste good.
Yeah.
So it is a flavor enhancer. They call it that for a reason. But food in itself, it takes a long time to change your palate. I know. This is one that I have had to suffer and deal with, learning how to eat without salt. Not completely with, but less salt without. So with learning to eat with a limited amount of sodium versus full sodium, because salt is really, really, really not good for us. And the taste of food is so good. I mean, to taste the flavor of, the greens themselves, I would suggest you even try tearing off a piece as you're preparing them after you've cleaned them. I'm talking fresh greens, and just chew it. Just get the flavor in your mouth. You'll understand what I mean when you give that a try. And then when you cook it, it makes it even more it makes it even more meaningful. So that is one thing we're going to talk about. Another thing that I think people can relate to is, because I'm talking about my collard greens, is vegetable broth, right? So we all use vegetable broth in many different soul food meals that we make. We vegetable broth is typically one of those things that we use. I see it in my mom's kitchen and other folks' kitchens. But a popular brand, I don't know if I should say it, but I won't say it. I don't want to disparage any brand and get ourselves in trouble. But there's a very popular brand that you see prominently when you walk into the grocery store, especially during the holidays. They make it, they set it front and center. That vegetable broth is more chemical than vegetable. And it is so easy to make your own vegetable broth. So even if you make collard greens, say, there's always some juice in the bottom. Just take it, pour it in a jar, and freeze it, right? You won't have a full quart of juice from it, but you will be starting right? You take that juice, pour it in a jar, put it in the freezer, and the next time you have vegetables that there's remaining broth, pour it on top of that and continue until you have a full jar, and then you use that as your vegetable broth. It'll be so much better for you than having all of these ingredients that I can't even pronounce.
Mhm.
So that's a shortcut there.
But Teresa, I'm at such a disadvantage. You know, I'm not into cooking. But what are you using the vegetable broth for? I mean, what type of
So,
dishes are you
so
putting that in?
so like if you make like curries, stews, soups,
Mhm.
even if you want to start, say you want to make collard greens and you don't have garlic and onions to saute to
You can
begin
use
it,
that.
I start with my broth, my leftover broth, just
Mhm.
use the remaining broth to season it to cook with, right? So that's what I
Mhm.
use it for. But if you make, so we're talking about that special meal, say you make stuffing for Thanksgiving, that calls
Yeah,
for
yeah, I
broth,
know that. Right,
right?
right. Yeah.
So some people put broth as the liquid in their macaroni and cheese. So
Really?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Never heard
yeah.
of that.
So the broth has, people use a lot of broth for different reasons,
Mhm.
but it's a base of a meal, and you want it to be good. You want it to be a good solid base that's going to enhance the food and not make it bad, worse for you. The other thing I wanted to talk about today, and these are just samplings, right, is the quality. Like, you will hear me talk more about vegetables because that's what I prefer. But I'm no by no my entire family eats meat, so I'm not opposed to meat and that for people to eat. Like, I don't push a vegan diet onto anyone or a vegetarian diet. So, but if you're going to eat meat, you got to make sure that it's a good quality of
Mhm.
meat, and
Mhm.
it also needs to be limited. So meat should not be factored into your diet every day. It should not. That should also be a special occasion thing.
Mhm.
Like, you should at least have a few days a week where you don't eat meat. And I do preach and am a
Practice
proponent of
that.
that. So,
Mhm.
but it's got to be a good quality of beef, lean. And there's another tip that I'm gonna give you is, we often, and it's a buzz thing, to look for grass-fed beef, right?
Mhm.
Everybody knows about that. But do you know about grass finished beef?
No,
Lou?
I've never heard of that term, Teresa. What is
See?
that?
So the beef industry have caught on to the fact that we want grass-fed beef.
Mhm.
So as long as the calf has grazed a few months of its life, they call it grass-fed. They finish it, meaning they take it from the field and pump all of the greens and the antibiotics, all the stuff that they pump in it to make it grow fast. They finish it in the factory. So your beef, more than grass fed, needs to say grass finished, because that means the entire life of that cow, he ate what he needed to eat in order to be good meat. So
Mhm.
that meat is harder to find. It
Mhm.
is less found in typical grocery stores. You're going to
I've
have
never
to,
heard of that.
yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
grass finished beef. You're
Mhm.
going to have to go to your farmers markets to find it. Some grocery stores do carry it. Like Whole Foods, you can get grass finished beef at Whole Foods. Um, some specialty grocery stores. That's Whole Foods is local to us. I'm not sure where
Yeah.
everybody is listening from, if they have that. But it's more important, ask your butcher if the meat is grass finished. That's the more important term to look for versus just grass fed.
Hmm.
So I will share in the session little nuggets, little things to look for like that, right?
Yeah.
Lou, what other thing can you think to ask me about? Oh, another trick that I want to, or tip that I wanted to share today, is sautéing. So when you start out with a saute, we almost always start with a whole bunch of oil. And it's that sizzle that makes us excited. It makes me excited to hear it. The sizzle and seeing the onions caramelize and all of that. But that added oil is not good for us, no matter what type of oil it is. It's just not. It can be olive oil. It can be avocado oil. It can be any oil. It's just not. So that should also be a treat. That should also be something that you do um, um, less often, right? So to saute without oil, try starting with mushrooms.
Okay.
So mushrooms have very high water content. So if you start a saute with mushrooms, it generates water from the mushrooms, and then you can add your other vegetables, your onions, your peppers, your garlic, or whatever else, whatever your base is going to be for that meal, and it you won't miss the oil at all. Honestly, you won't miss it. Um, and that's another tip or trick that I use.
Well, Teresa, I don't have anything, a question, but I wanted to add two things to that. Number one, see, if you see me looking like a deer in headlights when Teresa's talking about all this, that's because I don't cook. And there's a reason for that. It's not something my husband encourages. We have a little problem with it. But that's one thing. The second thing, Teresa, while I don't have a question about that, I did want to add something about another offering, but we're not going to get into that. And that's your consult that's titled, I think, Let Food Be Your Medicine. And I just want to share that Teresa really has a wealth of knowledge on all of this, on this topic. Recently, maybe about, I guess it was about a month ago. Full disclosure, transparency. I went out and overindulged a bit, did a little celebrating of different things, and had too much sugar. It was over a weekend period, and I knew that's why. I mean, I was not feeling well. I was really sick. And I knew immediately what it was because I knew what I'd eaten. One of the desserts that I had was called Death by Chocolate. And then, as if that weren't enough, I had something else on top of that. So there you have it. Okay, that's my diet. But anyway,
Once in a while is not bad.
I was not feeling, Teresa, really, once in a while. Okay. But anyway, I wasn't feeling well. And I told Teresa, and I had a meeting for Earrings Off. And she said, "Are you okay?" I said, "I am not. I don't feel well." I said, "Teresa, I'm going to have to cut this short because I just wasn't feeling well." And when I told her what I'd done, Teresa immediately said, "You need to drink some green tea. Just get some green tea." And when I got off, when we finished the meeting, that's what I did. And when I tell you, that was like a miracle cure for me. I felt so much better. And so simple things like that, that's what we hope to offer you through Earrings Off. Practical advice to make your lives better, but also tips that Teresa can share. When I tell you, I had no idea. I'm not really a person that drinks hot tea. I only drink it if I'm not feeling well. But there you have it. It worked for me. So we're going to be offering different consultations. Again, you can get more information on our about our what we'll be offering. Of course, the biggest thing is our conference at Earrings Off.
It'll be held on Saturday, October 14th from 6:30 until 10 p.m.
Now, tickets are on sale now, so please go to eventbrite.com, look for Earrings Off, and get your tickets. And if you're interested in some of the consultation offerings, please look for those as an add-on.
And if you're not in the Richmond area, you are still invited. Like Lou said, Richmond is a beautiful place to visit and to have a great time.
So if you can't attend, but you really still want a way to support Earrings Off and our conference, think about being a conference sponsor. We have a letter that we can send you with all of the information. So just please shoot us an email to earringsoff@gmail.com. If you just put sponsor in the subject line, you don't need to say anything else. Teresa and I will take it from there and fill you in on all the information.
That's right. Our next live show is Tuesday, September 13th here on Fireside.
And that's did you say at 8 p.m.? Yeah, on
at 8
Fireside.
p.m.
So in the meantime, don't forget to check us out at earringsoff.com or on Instagram at the Earrings Off Podcast or Facebook at Earrings Off Podcast. You can hear past podcasts and read our amazing blogs on our website at earringsoff.com. And of course, we never like to end our Saturday pop-up without sharing our mantra. This is how you're going to set your intention for today, how you make today whatever you want it to be. Today is a good day.
I will make it so.
My reality is formed by what my mind tells it.
Today I am healthy and well.
I am at peace.
I extend kindness to myself and others.
In my actions and interactions today.
I lead with my commitment to do better.
And be better.
I commit to being part of the solution.
To positively impact the environment.
And the world.
I make the choice.
And my choice become my reality.
That's it for us today here at Earrings Off.
Take good care.
Have a good day, folks. Enjoy your day.